Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Imthiaz. I'm co-founder and CEO of Raaho. Super excited to talk to Akshay today.
So, Imthiaz, give me an elevator pitch of Raho.
So Raaho, the word comes from Ra, which is a path, right? We are a marketplace for intercity trucking. So at one end, we have a customer who wants a truck. That means he has the load. And the other end, we have a fleet owner or a truck owner, which is largely people who own less than 10 trucks. They have a truck and they need a consignment or a load to actually move this truck and utilize the asset. So we are like a marketplace in between. Look at us as an Uber for intercity trucks in India.
Okay. In the trucking parlance, you have this full truckload, and what is the opposite of that? Part truckload, or what is it?
Yeah, they say part truckload or less, they say less than truckload, LTL or PTL.
Okay.
Both are the same.
Okay. So, which space are you in?
Okay, so we are in the full truckload and not the part truckload, which means that what we service is somebody who wants a full truck, whether it's for 6 ton, 8 ton, 18 ton. And, once the goods are loaded, then it's sealed. There's nothing called it getting added later on. So we are a full truckload, doesn't require any warehouse and so on and so forth.
Understood. I'm assuming full truckload is the solution for larger enterprises, and part truckload would be for people who have, like say, delivery would be doing part truckload, where they leave it to delivery to figure out which truck to take, etc. Whereas in your case, your client already knows I want an 8-ton truck.
Actually, delivery does everything. So delivery does part truck. Actually, part truck, look at part truck as like a courier business, right? The courier which end consumers like you and me use is want to send one cover or a small packet to my mother or family, right? Whereas enterprise courier would mean, 500 kgs or half a ton. So that's the courier. So part truck has a lot of courier side of the business. Of course, delivery is a large player. They do part truck, full truck, warehousing, and everything. We'll talk about, the whole logistics is a good starting point to talk about, and we should do that maybe.
Okay, understood. So yeah, tell me about the whole chain of logistics, and also if you can mention who are the players at each step of the chain.
Okay, so I think when we talk about logistics, which is let's say 12% of India's GDP, which is a very very large part, right? Logistics includes transportation, it includes warehouse, it includes storage, and automation, right? Um, we are largely into transportation, so that's where maybe I would be able to add a lot more value in this conversation. Transportation is around 65% of logistics, right? Which is moving goods from A to B. After that would be warehousing, and after that is maybe automation and so on and so forth. When you look at transportation, which is basically how do goods move, right? How do they come to your house from a factory or from a warehouse? 65% of goods transported in India happen through road, right? So you could transport goods from road, by railway, by water, or by air. India is 65% road, 30% by railways, and the water and air are extremely, extremely small. So as I said, right, India runs on, chakkas, they call it, or tires, right? So India is largely a road network, and goods moving on road, they move by trucks. And that's where we come into play. Now, from the goods that move by road, goods could move for intracity or they could move intercity, right? 80% of goods movement in terms of value is intercity trucking, which is, let's say, 200 kilometers plus or 150 kilometers plus, right? So for Raho, we are into, of course, transportation, which is road transportation, and intercity trucking. Okay. And that's really where we are. So, which is why I said that we are a marketplace for intercity trucking. As you rightly further went into the detail, it's a full truckload business. So, what happens is that a lot of our customers, for example, delivery is our customer. Delivery would do a part truck, would go pick up couriers from SMEs or enterprises, bring them into a warehouse, and then they say, listen, I want a full truck to move this load from, let's say, Gurgaon to Chennai. Then we come into the play and say, hey, here is a truck. And then we take care of this FTL, as they call it, from Gurgaon to Chennai. So that largely is the that largely is the space from a logistics perspective. Of course, from a value chain perspective, in terms of how does FTL work, and maybe I can go quickly, that also, right? In a value chain perspective, that could be a large brand. I mean, let's take an example of Coca-Cola, which is one of my favorite brands, right? So let's say Coca-Cola would have a contract or or like a tender relationship with large third-party logistics companies or transporters, right?
Give me some
When I say
names of
3P,
transporters.
um, there are big ones like TCI, Darcel Logistics, VTrans, VExpress, Gati, for example, is also a 3PL company. Safe Express is a 3PL company.
These are
Delivery by
actually
itself is a good
these
example
are
of a
like
3PL
asset
company.
heavy companies. They own trucks.
Actually, old economy, most of the old economy companies definitely own trucks. So most of these, whether it's inland, express roadways, East India Road Lines, Varuna, all of these people, including actually delivery to some extent, right? They all own some asset. An asset in our business could mean trucks largely, but could also mean some form of, warehouse and all. So all of these people own assets, of course. So what happens is that, they have a contract with the end customer, large enterprise. The relationship between the 3PL or a transporter is a tender-based relationship. It's a fixed price relationship, right? Of course, credit relationship, it's called, right?
With some
20%.
something to do with petrol price also. There must be some petrol price linked escalation.
It is. That is, beyond a 5% escalation, then that increases, then the price is relooked at. But,
Okay.
if you look at overall perspective, they would like to fix the price for the whole year or at least 6 months period. So it's not on demand in nature for them. It's a spot, it's not a spot freight, right? What happens is that this transporters or a 3PL company, they try and fill 20% of the requirement through their own asset. But the remaining 70-80%, they eventually go to a broker. India is full of brokers, right? Uh, it's a low trust economy. Whenever there's a low trust economy, you have an agent in between. Okay. And that's where brokers come into the play. Brokers, in turn, work with a fleet owner or a truck owner. The reason why this broker network exists, agent network exists, is because the space is extremely fragmented, Akshay, which means, let's say, most 90% of truck owners own less than 10 trucks.
Wow.
So it's a long tail of truck owners who, of course, can't work with the transporter directly. Transporter can't work with the fleet owner directly because there is issue of trust, there is issue of reliability. He eventually needs one middleman or the agent or a broker, right? So that's how the whole chain works. The relationship between a broker and a transporter it's a spot freight relationship. That means आज का price 6 बजे का price अलग है, 8 बजे का price अलग है, right? And it's also advanced model, so there's no working capital stuck, because eventually, do not forget, the small fleet owner, to move the truck, needs to fill fuel and the driver, and that needs to be paid advance, right? Because it's a very small fleet owner.
Is
So
this
where
the
Raaho comes
middleman of
in,
the broker? The broker gives the advance?
it depends. It's some large brokers would be would not wait for a transporter to give them the advance and go and pay, but most of them would wait, would pester the transporter saying advance, advance, advance. A truck would be standing there, waiting for the advance, and that has larger problems of they call it dead mile or empty run. The trucker is waiting, driver is waiting, and that's why maybe of course it's not just one of the problems is that there is a that average kilometers that an intercity truck in India would do is, let's say, 10,000, whereas the same in America would be 14, 15,000. I'm not saying this is the only reason, but we'll talk about it maybe going forward.
This is
So
average kilometers per month, per day? What is
per
this?
month, per month, per month, per month, per month, per month.
Okay.
Per day, to kya, flying trucks are not here yet, right?
Sorry.
Raho actually today in this whole value chain, right, replaces a broker. So, for example, that's why you see all the brand names that we talked about, whether it's VTrans, VExpress, SLV Logistics, Darcel Logistics, Deliveries, Gati, SafeX of the world, they're all our customers, right? So we are a digital broker, as we call it. We are a digital freight broker or a marketplace, right? So we work with the end trucker and we work with the transporter. In the process, very clearly, we don't give credit, and we are, I would say, and we are asset light. We don't own trucks. Of course, we started with owning few trucks and running these 10 trucks before we really got into becoming a broker. So that's really what we are, and that's our space in the value chain.
Very interesting. You said 12% of GDP goes on logistics spend. How does that compare to the US?
US will be around 7%, 6-7%. China also will be 7-8%. And if you look at it, this is what the government has identified as one of the key pillars or objective of national logistics policy, NLP, which is they're talking about bringing it to 8%, 7%. I think this 12% is in the coming down phase. But there are lots of other things for it to come down, right? That is, end of the day, the cost is higher because of the trucker cost is very high. The trucker who's the asset owner is not able to sweat his asset, right? So if his cost per kilometer is high, that same thing eventually goes to the end customer. So there are lots of things that need to come into play, which is better roads, faster filling of the truck, lesser dead miles, lesser stoppages on way. If the fleet can do 15,000 kilometers, which means the cost per kilometer will come down for a trucker, which will then get passed on to transporter and then get passed on to the end customer. Of course, there has to be a liquidity in a large marketplace that needs to come in, thereby removing the inefficiencies of a manual broker or a non-digital broker that we call it.
Is this so you're saying like India is almost double of what a developed country is in terms of percentage spend on logistics? Is it only the problem of bad roads, dead miles, etc., or is it also that maybe they use more rail transport and other means, and India is largely relying on road transport?
So it's very, very, very good point, right? I think India is, of course, very high on 65% on road. So it's definitely, railways is important, and you see a lot of improvement in that area. The government focus on rails is really improving. You see now roll on, roll off happening. I was just reading today in Rewari somewhere where there is a roll on, roll off. That means trucks are just going there, and then the rail route is being taken to move the goods. So the government really understands the need for last mile, first mile connectivity when you want to improve railways, right? Because the goods have to come from warehouse to the railway track, and then let's say it goes to Chennai, and then from there railway track to back to warehouse, right? The first mile and last mile is a large problem for railways to connect, and which is what I think the government is really working on to solve it. So that's one area, but then there are lots of other things. I felt that the check post was one of the areas earlier with GST. That problem is gone. Every time you're crossing a state, there was a check post which would take 3 hours and 4 hours, right? Roads definitely was one of the problems, but if I personally believe the last 10 years have been phenomenal when it comes to roads. When we started this business, the normal route for Delhi Chennai would take, let's say, 5 days, 6 days, and express would be 3 days. But today, normal is considered to be 3 days, 3.5 days. So that is huge change. Wow. So you have to understand that there is a check post going away, which means unnecessarily standing, unnecessary documentation. Of course, some cost happens when there is a check post in the government there, right? But right. Or local people there, but that's gone. So it's becoming efficient. Plus, FASTag is coming up, right? Every toll there is a FASTag. That's also is saving time. Mostly highways, so you're not really cutting through villages. Okay, so when the roads are good, when you're reaching fast, your asset can kilometers can go up. That's one way to reduce cost. Two, when the roads are better, your fuel efficiency is better. You have to understand that 40% of the cost is going to be the fuel cost. So whatever that goes into improving the fuel would take care. And of course, 40% is the EMI. So if you do more kilometers, then after some point of time, your variable cost per kilometer comes down. So it's a mix of many things, right? Which is railway, which is improving road transportation. But India is so large that if you want to make an impact, you need to do everything. You need to grow railways also. You need to keep your roads getting better and better, because it's very difficult to start connecting very small towns with railways. Trucks really do a great job. And hey, our life, we are running to trucking, man. We have to focus on trucking here, right?
So, what percentage of your business comes from transporters, and what percentage would come directly from the enterprise, like say a Coke?
Oh, I am almost zero actually. We don't work with end customers at all. right?
Okay.
We work only with transporters and 3PL companies. We have some small and medium, I would say, in the SME, small enterprises who would maybe not work with a transporter or work with a broker directly, but that's, I would say, really, man, some 1% of our business come with end customers. We work only with third party.
Is that a conscious choice, or it just happened that way? That
No, that's a business that we've been. It's a conscious choice because I personally believe that if you want to build a marketplace, right? We have been a very supply first company, Akshay. We believe that look at it like this: a customer. Let's look at the what does both the parties want, right? A trucker who owns less than 10 trucks, most of them, right? He wants a return load, and he wants to be paid on time. That's his need, right? Whereas an end customer wants a reliable truck at the best price. And now with the Blinkit generation, he's adding this called instantly. Like 7 minute mein chahiye, 10 minute mein chahiye, right? So a customer wants a reliable truck, right? And a trucker wants a return load. So we are a very supply first company, right? So what we said is that, listen, in a market where a small broker has no leverage, everything is manual, can't be scaled, not very transparent, right? And when he does payment to the trucker, he delays the payment, and also he does a lot of random deduction. So we said, hey, let's stand for transparency. In the whole industry, from the players that you talked about, some of them that we talked about, the large players, nobody has managed to win the trust of a trucker. Okay? लोगों को कहना है कि ये बड़ी बड़ी कंपनी आती है, डिजिटल कंपनी आती है, हमारे पैसे रोक लेती है और फिर गायब हो जाती है. That's the brand name. Sometimes we always say Raho digital नहीं है. हम ऑनलाइन कंपनी नहीं है, क्योंकि लोगों को लगता है कि ऑनलाइन कंपनी है, वीसी के पैसे हैं, कमाना तो है नहीं और गायब हो जाना है. आज है कल नहीं है, kind of a feeling, right? So we used to never say we're an online company. We are saying that's why when we used to run 10 trucks for 1.5 years, they know like, okay, trucker भाई ये लोग खुद भी ट्रक चलाते थे, इनको पता है ट्रकर की लाइफ की प्रॉब्लम, right? Which is why our purpose is to make life better for a trucker and driver. It doesn't figure a customer there, right? Because we're a supply first company. So what we said is that, listen, we will pay you on time like crazy. If it means that a truck left at 1 o'clock in the night, there was a time when I would open a bank and app and I would pay at that 1 o'clock when we were doing, let's say, two transactions a day, right? And that's what we stand for today. Honest, pay you on time, transparent. And now with network of, let's say we are present in 17 cities today, we are able to bring in back on a lot of occasions, which is a return load. The moment you do that, let's say a truck, for example, does 4 trips today, he does 50% of those truck trips on us, 50 to 60%. He's dependent on you. And he's saying, listen, he trusts you. He's saying, yeah, I am dependent on these guys. So I will give good service. I will not hold the truck randomly, right? And say, mujhe paise do. And there is a rating system. There is a way to make sure that you have good. So the moment you realize that, and this has not happened in 1 year, this has been 6-7 years, right? So we've been at it, and what we realize is that the trucker is loyal. It becomes reliable, and which is exactly what the customer wants. He wants a reliable truck, right? In this business, there's nothing called मुझे नई truck चाहिए, मुझे खूबसूरत truck चाहिए जिसमें जिसमें bells हो, right? मुझे एक गाड़ी चाहिए जो A to B जाए, जो बीच में तंग ना करे और माल को safely पहुंचा दे. I mean, that's what the truckers. So the moment you start getting loved by truckers and the truckers prefer you, you suddenly realize that the customer likes you because he knows that, yeah, if I have a sensitive load and if I have goods which have to reach, I as well use a very reliable broker called Raho instead of a roadside broker. And then when you suddenly realize that, I think the price is also the same, right? So the model is very simple. We are able to get good price from the trucker because we rotate him more, we give him more kilometers, and we pay him well on time. We don't do random deduction. He gives you a price lower than he gives it to a broker sometimes. And that benefit I make by giving to the customer. I am not the lowest price provider to a transporter because I have to make margin in between, right? Okay. And we are very, very particular that we don't give, we have never given a truck at a negative margin. Never. जो बोलते हैं ना यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स पॉजिटिव होना चाहिए, मैं बोलता हूँ कि वो नेगेटिव कभी था ही नहीं हमारे जिंदगी में, right? Of course, we are increasing that. I'm not saying we are not increasing. We are focusing and we have increased. We have almost, we have really increased that margin in the last 1.5 years because of we all know the market scenario, right?
So
So that's
let me
how the needs work.
let me put this into a kind of a framework. So as a business, you need to choose your battles. You could have either fought for demand, where you would be fighting with transporters to acquire a coke, or you could have fought for supply. And so from what I understand, your take is that this is a supply constrained market, and it is better to focus on fighting for supply, and the demand can come through another intermediary instead of you going directly to the enterprise, because there is a lot more demand. I mean, demand is there if you fix supply.
It's about what kind of company we want to build, right? We want to build a product-led business, right? So by being the role that we are playing in this value chain, we are able to be on demand in nature. We are able to build a product-led company, right? We are able to build an asset-light company. We are able to build a capital-efficient company for that matter, right? I don't have credit, so I don't. I think if you go to end customer, we'll fight with the transporter who has an asset, right? Who's been there for 50 years.
Yeah.
Who's been there for 50 years. And, I don't, he will quote crazy prices because his cost of running the business is very, very small. Okay. And of course, credit, he has enough cash to not take the loan. So it's a very thin margin business. The structure of this business makes it a very thin margin business. So you pick your battle and say, listen, I think we're a product company. Right? What do we want to solve here? We want to, if I were to just extend my purpose, right, to make life better for a trucker and driver using technology and data science for efficient freight matching. Fundamentally, it's a Uber problem. Look at a pre-Uber era. Example, I live in Gurgaon. So let's say from Gurgaon to go to my airport, a cab would come. He would charge me for up and down. Pre-Uber era, right? I'll have to have an agent. I'll have to go to some parking lot to get a cab, right? But I was paying for up and down. That was a dead mile, right? The empty run that a cab was doing, and eventually I was paying for it. Okay, so it was super inefficient for A, carbon footprint. B, there's a cost involved, fuel, jal raha hai, kisi ko value ka. Same problem exists today. Let me give you an example that happens every day in our business, something that I quote a lot, right? Let's say there is a truck in Noida and there is a truck in Manesar, both of the same type. Both of them want to go south, let's say Chennai. In the old economy or the old system, what will happen? A trucker works with a broker. He'll work with one or two brokers only, and that broker has only 5-7 customers. He will work with 5 truckers, 5 customers, right? Now, what he'll do is that let's say the Manesar truck owner speaks to a broker. Broker says there is a load from Noida to Chennai. So this truck in Manesar now has to go empty to Noida. Up and down is 140 kilometers, empty run. There is an overnight no entry to enter Noida. So one day gone, which is 3,500 rupees. So it goes empty ups and down, and then eventually has to cross Manesar and go down to Chennai. The same thing happens to a Noida truck, which is coming empty to Manesar and then going to Chennai. This happens every day, which is why they say 20% of the time the truck is either idle or it is doing an empty run, which is the data that we see, and it happens all the time. So my view is that is the problem worth solving. Imagine if I can solve it, there is enough money to be made. I can give the trucker a little more. I can give a truck at a lower price. Of course, I can still make close to double-digit gross margin in my business. Save the environment. Carbon footprint. After industry, the next big area of pollution, especially we are in NCR, and I think we are breathing a little better the last 2-3 days, is trucks. So, this is one way. So if Raho wins, for example, or if you're able to make this freight matching efficient, we will be able to reduce carbon footprint from the significant side, plus being able to make a trucker's life a lot better, a driver's life a lot better, a customer happy, and overall. And this would eventually then lead to a reduction in the overall logistics cost, which is an overall national way to look at it. So it's a battle that we choose for the kind of company that we want to become and the kind of people that we are. Right. So I get excited by building the product and technology. Of course, we have co-founders. Murli is my co-founder and CTO. And he always says, end of the day, we are a matchmaking company. And we believe that the broker today is an inefficient matchmaker. And we believe that technology can make this a lot better. It has happened with the Zomato. It has happened with the Uber. It has happened with Urban Company. It has to happen with trucking. It can't be this way.
Okay, interesting. I'm guessing the competitor for you, one is of course these offline old school brokers, and the other would be, I guess, Vahak would be in a similar space to you, right?
Actually, Vahak again plays in a very discovery layer, right? I would say the way
Okay, they
earlier
don't do
Zomato used to
the
be,
transactions.
they are not part of the transaction. I personally, I mean, again, there are different approaches to this business. You could be the Vahak also, right? Where you're saying, hey, Vahak competes with BlackRock. Very, very straight, right? Saying that, hey, there is a load here, there's a trucker here. But then the whole promise of payment आएगा नहीं आएगा, गाड़ी पहुंचेगी नहीं पहुंचेगी, they are letting ये दोनों बात कर लो. I come from this fact that India is a low trust economy.
Right.
You will need an agent. Who's going to own responsibility कि मेरे पैसे आएंगे नहीं आएंगे? एक ट्रकर जो समझो पटौड़ी में बैठा है, उसने बैंगलोर से गाड़ी भराई, वो कैसे जाएगा बैंगलोर में पैसे कलेक्ट करने के लिए अगर ट्रांसपोर्टर ने पैसे नहीं दिए? या लेट गो द अदर वे अराउंड, a transporter gave a load to a trucker, vehicle went गायब. Who's going to own responsibility where the hell the trucker is? Who will take care of the KYC and so on? So a lot of issues, which is why we choose that we have always been a transaction that maybe I'm missing some pieces that Raaho is seeing or BlackBuck is seeing, possible. And I don't want to say that I know it all, but I'm saying that we have always been transaction led because we came from the problem that a trucker wanted a return load and he wants to get paid on time. It's how you define the problem, right? Okay. And that's where we are. I'm not saying we won't enter the Vaha crowd or they won't enter our, but it's a large market.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So your moat is supply. How did you build supply? How many truckers work with you today? And tell me that journey of building supply.
Very interesting. Actually, you have to go to the starting point. So after Hoppr, I mean, we were doing something in the area of delivery.
What is Hoppr? Let's go even further back. What is, so this is your second venture, right? Maybe you can just take us through that journey of the first venture first, and then we can talk about how you built Raho.
Okay. I became an entrepreneur in 2010. Hoppr was my first startup, right? Hoppr was an online to offline commerce company.
Quick overview. So, what had you done in 2010 till 2010? You're an IMT Ghaziabad alumnus, so you did your MBA there. Then from campus to Hoppr, just quick 1 minute.
So I'm from Chennai, and I started working in '96. I sold phones in '96. Then I was with Blue Dart, and then I sold pizzas. I did MBA '98, 2000, as you rightly said. Chennai boy in Ghaziabad. That was my first trip to North, just for information. First time, my train to Delhi, and then this journey to Ghaziabad, and Hindi has really gone spoiled after that. 2000 joined McDowell's. I worked for UB sales in Mumbai, and then Chennai, and then Bangalore, product guy. Then joined Airtel 2004 January. Sorry. Seems 20 years back.
Very early days of it.
Very early days of Airtel, growing at 8-10% a month. Airtel, super entrepreneurial. Airtel, absolutely stunning founder called Sunil Bharti. Right. Learned a lot. I was in the Airtel Karnataka, which is like a circle. Did product role, became a sales head, became a marketing head. Moved to Gurgaon 2007 as the vice president heading data business for Airtel, which is a non-voice business or value-added services, as they call it. Did that till 2010. Then I decided
there's a B2C business only, right? Like the Hello Tunes and all of that.
Yeah, data, GPRS, Hello Tune, SMS, and all kinds of non-voice business. So largely a lot of innovation, and that's where you meet a lot of entrepreneurs. One of them was my good friend now, Vijay Sharma. You get inspired by people like that, right? So, oh my God, yeah. Every time you meet, the man is thinking 20 years ahead, right? And I say, hey, I think it is these people that you deal with as innovation ahead, the entrepreneurs that you get excited and say, there is a chance to, an opportunity to change the world, make some difference. And that's when I became an entrepreneur. Hoppr was because I was very excited. At that time, I used to work on a lot of location-based services, right? And those were not smartphone days, just for information. Smartphone was just 2% of total mobile base. I was very excited about location, where we were building a lot of stuff on location. And I felt that mobile knows where you are.
Like at
And
Airtel, what kind of locations?
yeah, location services, friends chat, buddy finder, find your friends where they are. We were trying to, build a layer on top of your location. So basically, location was always a horizontal, right? You can build services or applications. Airtel was always trying to build the horizontal and allow innovators to build applications on top of it, isn't it?
Okay.
So, we had built the location middleware at that point of time, and we were like thinking that now we need services to come on top of it. And that was really exciting for me. And I said, listen, I think mobile knows where you are. And I actually, to be honest, didn't know what I wanted to build. I just said, listen, I have to leave. Took a 6-8 months notice. And then I said, okay, I took a break. I always knew that I love the fact that mobile knows where you are. So our first pitch for Hoppr was we will replace these, the boys who are giving away leaflets outside a mall or a market. Saying, hey, there is a new store which has a 10% off. I'm like, mobile knows where you are. I don't need these leaflets to come. And that's what Hoppr was. Hoppr was, initially, it was about checking into places. You check into places that allows us to build the data of places. And then you could get rewards for it. And hey, listen, checking into places was not through an app. It was an app. Our biggest story was that you could check into a place through a feature phone. Imagine a 1500 rupees Nokia. You could just dial star XXXY and it will show you places, and you can say, I'm at Ambience Mall right now. Or I'm at a Cafe Coffee Day in Ambience Mall right now. Right?
This was
and
that USSD. I think that's what it's called.
USSD, yeah, USSD, that unstructured, whatever, right? USSD thing, and boom. And we realized, oh my God, we had almost 1 million check-ins a day. 1 million check-ins a day. And we were
what
able
was
to
the
sell.
motivation for people to check in?
So, of course, like any startup, right? Initially, we didn't have anything. It was like so that also was like a marketplace, right? At one end, there was a consumer, and the other end, there was a restaurant, right? Or let's say a spa. A spa or a restaurant wanted to talk to the users nearby and bring them into your stores, which is drive traffic. And the customer was wanted options. So initially, Hoppr was like a game. You check in, you get points, and you get some rewards, the offline rewards. Then we quickly, moved into selling coupons. And at that point of time, I think a deal with Cafe Coffee Day completely turned for Hoppr, because we just said, check into a Cafe Coffee Day and you get a coffee free. Boom.
Okay. Yeah.
We had 10,000 merchants like Cafe Coffee Day on the Hoppr
Wow.
platform, where you could just check into a place and get it. A lot of learning from there. I think got bought over, went in.
For a Cafe Coffee Day, this was a way to build customer loyalty. Like they would know who all are coming there, then they would be able to send them promotional messages or stuff
Customer
like that.
loyalty, traffic. Traffic, of course, it was not free coffee. It was buy two, get one free. So there was traffic, vis-a-vis another store. How can I drive you? You are here. Contextual marketing, right? Extremely contextual marketing, isn't it? You entered Ambient Mall and you say, I'm in the Ambient Mall. The moment you check into Ambient Mall, imagine all the brands realizing, oh my God, you are here. Now let me talk to you. Then eventually it end up becoming like a loyalty platform. Check in once, second time you get something, fifth time you get something, 10th time you get something. So we allowed the merchants to build on top of it.
When did you realize that you're not gonna be able to scale it up? Because it started strong. You had that Cafe Coffee Day, 1 million check-ins a day. So when did things start going south and you realized that we need to pivot, we need to try other things? And obviously in the thick of it, you don't probably know. This is only with hindsight that you can say.
Actually, it's not that, it's not that I was, I was always excited, and I think we had a huge space to go, right? But there are other things that were happening, there was a pressure on growth for us at that point of time. We had raised a lot of capital.
How much had you raised?
In 2011, we had a first round of like $5 million, $4 to $5 million we had raised from Bharti SoftBank. That time, 2011, not many VCs in India. Startups are very, very, very few, right? And so when you raise so much capital, you need to grow, and I think a lot of things that happen around it. Product market fit. I think we raised so much money without a product market fit, and then you are opening a lot of cities, and then you realize that you're growing, we're not fixing the product, and you come back and try to fix the product. And then by the same time, there are other things that are happening in the business. And then, somebody finds you really exciting. Somebody likes your merchant base. A lot happens after that. So I said, okay. And first startup. So
And
finished
who
that.
acquired you?
And well, Hike Messenger at that
For
point
what?
of time.
And you were still USSD at that time when they acquired you, or you had
No.
also?
We had an app store. No. We had already moved to the app. We had the USSD, but we had already moved to the Android. And I think we had a very good product running called Hoppr Cash at that point of time. So no. I think we were on the app environment at that point of time.
And this was like again a check-in product, something like say Magic Pin.
So magic pin now. Yes, it was check into a place and then get rewarded and coupons and stuff like that. So at that point of time, I would feel that it was a lot like a Foursquare plus Groupon those days, right? You check into a place, you get points, and those points get converted into Hoppr Cash. Hoppr Cash gives you discounts, and then we allowed our merchants to build a loyalty program on top of it. First check-in, second check-in. So it was a complete online to offline commerce product that we had become. So, but our strength at that point was the huge merchant ecosystem that we had, who was using Hoppr at that point.
Okay. And why did Hike want that merchant ecosystem? Because Hike was a WhatsApp alternative, right?
Yeah, but I think that was an era, in my opinion, that WeChat was very, very famous in China, right? Which is you become
payments.
a platform, for not only payment but also merchants and everything. It made a lot more sense. I mean, I don't know much more about that, but I think to me, the merchant ecosystem made a lot of sense at that point of time, and you want to build a platform for us. One of the biggest things that you see.
Tell me about how Hoppr got acquired, and so how did you even think of that? Let's buy trucks.
Okay, so we're done with Hoppr now. Okay then. No, I think I took a break. Very honestly, we were trying to build a product in the delivery space. Very, very excited about fruits and vegetable delivery. I still feel it's a problem that yet to be solved, right? At one end, if you're getting a very, very fruits and vegetable at a low price, then the quality is not that great. And if quality is great, then the price was something that consumers are not willing to pay. So we were trying to solve a local delivery problem, right? Which is, how do you solve delivering anything, largely fruits and vegetables? We were trying to solve the fruit and vegetables. So in that whole process, my co-founder Fahad, Murli, and Joshua and me, I think we were trying to evaluate the space. I remember.
How did you meet your co-founders? They were with you.
Oh,
from
I think.
Hoppr
My God, I cannot even say that how blessed I am to have. So Fahad, been with me from Hoppr days. I know him for now 13 years. Muralidharan, very, very dear friend. Actually, I had done a small investment in his earlier startup 10, 11 years back. So he leads technology, Fahad leads operations, and a very dear friend called Joshua, who I know for now 20 years. Working with me at Airtel. He takes care of customer experience and HR. Clearly, we should talk about them. I feel that building a business with co-founders is like a must do. Especially if you're building a product tech company, then I think technology co-founder is a must. And if you are not a technology guy, which is I'm not, and without Murli, he was just here a few minutes back. Without Murli, I cannot imagine Raho, and without Joshua and Fahad also. So I think so we realized when we were in this Azadpur Mandi, we used to try and figure out a way to get the fresh vegetables. And that's where we used to find these truckers and drivers, right? When you start talking to them, when we used to ask the question, think, "Vapas kaise jaoge," right? How do you go back? And everybody would say, I would give my name to a broker and broker ko naam de dunga, usko note de dega, and stuff like that. And I realized, I mean, I look at it like this, that the trucker or a driver was just checking into one broker register, right? And broker was doing a matchmaking. Just remove all the truck. End of the day, there is a matchmaking of somebody you want something and somebody you have something, right? It could just be marriage matchmaking also, but end of the day, it's not. And broker was the guy who's deciding that kisko kya load dena. And when you meet a broker, you realize that this guy is, from a small town. He has relationship with few truckers and few customers, and then he's opened a shop. He's got multiple phones with him, charging the phones all the time. He's always on the phone call. Zero tech, right? That brought us to think, oh my God, this is a much larger problem. So if I were to look at, Hoppr and Raaho, I think a lot more connection here in terms of social aspect, right? It's a much larger problem. Think about it, that there are 80 lakh trucks. There are 1.5 crore truck drivers. Each truck driver would have a family to support 4-5 people. Okay, you're talking about almost 7-8% of India dependent on trucking, not including the puncher guy, the petrol guy, the toll guy, the highway network, the people who build the highway network, right? Like, really, this is a huge space. 100,000 brokers also exist in the market. All the boxes that you sometimes feel that you need to start up, right? Which is, there is a problem. I think for us, technology was important, right? With technology, you can solve the problem, because that's where we come from, Murli. Right? So we said, okay, large impact, social impact. Okay, a business that you would leave for the next 50 years, kind of a business. And hey, you're liking it. So, but it didn't. It's not that after that we suddenly decided, chalo, start.
Because you had invested that fruit and vegetable business. You had done serious investment in that, right? You bought 10 trucks just for that.
No, not that. We bought 10 trucks after that.
Oh,
fruits and vegetables were a delivery business, right? We were doing something called a ting tong as a product. We were not bought anything. We were running for 1 year. We had customers on the waiting list. We were doing only in Gurgaon. We were delivering anything actually at that point of time, trying to pivot to fruits and vegetables. We not bought anything, but we realized that I felt the delivery business would never make money. Yeah, right. A big basket, done so, right? We thought the delivery business would never make money, at least at that point of time. I didn't foresee Zepto maybe, right? Or Blinkit, not that they still make money, but I don't know. I'm saying that at that point of time, I felt, yeah, how do you make this cost of delivery? And customers won't pay more than 50-60 rupees. So that's why we were never scaling that business. We didn't raise capital. I said, नहीं, गलतियां नहीं करनी है मेरे को.
In Hoppr, you raised capital before finding your product market fit. So this time you didn't want to do that.
I think so, and too much capital, right? And much larger VCs also, I would say, right? So I said, chalo, we then, in fact, Fahad and we drove for a couple of months, trying to understand. And then came the one point where I said, yeah, enough of all this research. One thing was very, very clear, that we felt that the trucker was a guy who was completely messed up. His life was really hard. He's not able to pay the EMI. The driver's life is really, really bad, right? And Rivigo was talking a lot about driver life at that point of time. And I said, the driver's life is really bad, right? He's waiting at the loading point. He's waiting at the unloading point. He's not getting paid on time. He's hardly coming home. And you don't know who's right or wrong, because you do a lot with this trucker. He's misbehaving, holding the truck. You don't know what started, right? Did we make the trucker and driver bad, or the trucker and driver was born bad, right? Because everybody would say, "Yeah, trucker किसी का नहीं है, वो गाड़ी का माल लेकर गायब हो जाता है, खड़ा हो जाता है," right? So we said, "Yeah, I think we need to have massive empathy with the trucker." And then when you start saying that if you're going to build a business for next 20, 30 years, I said, "Yeah, let's do something." I remember Murli and trying to figure out, let's build. I said, "Murli, there's nothing that we can build because we don't know anything right now." Then you say, okay, what's your investment? We bought 10 trucks. First 5 and then another 5. And say, okay, this is our investment now. The moment you put 10 trucks and you put 2 crore rupees, your family starts saying, holy shit, what are you doing actually? Right? What is it? Now we have truck drivers. So yeah, we office in Bilaspur, going 50 minutes drive on our, Fahad, Murli and me sometimes.
And you guys were
trucks.
Doing the driving part also? Or you hired drivers?
No, we were not driving. We can't drive. Driving nahi hai, right? Not that young too, right?
इतनी romantic story नहीं है.
नहीं, इतनी भी romantic नहीं है. हाँ, इतनी romance है कि जब पहली truck को, because they give you only chases. I drove my own first truck. I have a picture of it. I drove it from the Tata yard to outside on the road. Oh, I know. So, but the romance ends there only. Right? We had truck drivers. We had some very early stage people who joined us, like a foreman who helped us. We had truck drivers. Of course, we sat in our trucks, drove, we used to travel 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers with them, but not truck driving really. And that's all 1.5 years. We were not broker, we were not a marketplace, we were only 10 trucks. Yeah. But that allowed us to build our business, which was NCR Chennai. That's a lane that we worked, So if you look at it, right, from a supply side, it's not that homogeneous, in our business also. The number of trucks that go from Chennai to Bangalore are not the same number of trucks that come, or the load exists for Bangalore to NCR. Or let's say NCR to Bangalore, Bangalore to NCR, not so trucks go another way. So we started NCR, Chennai because I come from there. And a lot of South truckers come from the Coimbatore, Namakkal, Siliguri area. NCR truckers come from Neemrana, Pataudi. The question you asked, how do you start adding truckers? You build the relationship, you be part of them, you empathize with them, and slowly you say, you suddenly realize that, hey, my transporters want 4 trucks. I can fulfill 1 or 2 for my own, right? Maybe I can take 2 from the truckers who I know very well, who come from my zone. I really know them well for some 1 year. And that's how you started saying, you moved away from, so we used to give our trucks to brokers only, not to transporters, right? Because we were trying to understand the way typical trucker works. Where am I going to search a transporter? The moment you started doing that, you realize the problem of a truck broker and how much is deductions and random stuff, right? And then, then we realize, as a trucker, this was a normal problem. We empathize with it, and slowly we moved to the transporter to get a load. We became assetless, and then we became a pure play broker. Digitization, we started right from day one that we will digitize WhatsApp, blah, blah. I think COVID, we grew 7x post-COVID because all the people who were not willing to use our app said, chalo, theek hai, app use karte hain. I think India has completely changed in the last couple of years. Right? We have leapfrogged. It's like, we crossed, we didn't look at desktop internet. We moved straight to mobile internet, right? Similarly, we've again gone to mobile payment so heavily in the last 10 years. And imagine we're talking about trucker and driver having a smartphone, paying $10 or $12 using Paytm for a cup of tea while I'm standing there trying to take out my cash. It has happened with me in one of the markets. Dhabas accepting Paytm or making payment. So I think a lot happened in our favor, which is why I think the trucking 1.0 companies 10 years back didn't have, which I think Raaho had. No cost of acquisition. Internet was there. Today, and that's how slowly suppliers grew. And you asked that question, how many suppliers work with us? We have 7,000 odd truckers who work with us. Right.
And let's how many trucks? Is that 7,000 trucks, or each of these truckers have like?
No. Each of the trucks would have around, let's say, 8, 10 trucks. So our last number was that we had around 60, 70,000 trucks on our platform over a period of time. I think that's how we've built, and absolutely zero cost of acquisition. We don't even have a Google account for that matter. We've never spent a rupee on marketing. Never spend a rupee on marketing, and that's the reason why we have not
pure like word of mouth, people saying
100%.
Raho app download
100%.
Wow.
In fact, a referral link also we just put now, I think, a few weeks back. Right? It's pure word of mouth because it's a very close-knit community, actually. It's not that all businesses can do this or whatever I say is relevant for all businesses. No, not really. There's a very close-knit community. A trucker trusts broker after a long time. And once he realizes that yaar load de rahe hain log, acha de rahe hain, time pe paise de rahe hain, log achhe hain. I think somewhere we underestimate that you have to be known like a good people. Right? And if you look at our app store rating, or if you look at word of mouth, all the additions, today I think we add more than what we need, I feel. We are not able to give that much demand, I feel, to a lot of our truckers, and that's a challenge to solve. But 100% acquisition on the trucker side, on the customer side, word of mouth. Of course, for acquisition of the demand, there is sales team. But now we don't have any sales team, field team to acquire trucker. Very, very glad to say that the supply side is 100% digitized, which means right from the time you download the app, he does KYC, he uploads Aadhaar card. Of course, India stack has helped. There's a checkbook that he uploads. He gets it, 1 rupee transaction. We check the detail. Then there is a video KYC. Then In the last 1 year, what we've done is that he sees his relevant loads for his truck. He bids for his load. He negotiates. The AI system actually prompts him saying that this is too high. The chance of getting a load, I reduce the price. He reduces the price. We have a call. That is a call that happens. And then we select him saying, you are selected. This is your load. Then we give him a location to go. Then he goes to the loading point. He uploads the LR. He gets his advance. He uploads the POD. We have the tracking system. He gets the balance payment all through the app. Trucker.
Wow.
So we are benefited by what's going on in India, and a trucker is benefited, a driver is benefited because the digitization, the power of digitization, which I think started with smartphone, GST, UPI payment, now FASTag, so many things that we are going to launch ahead is India Stack, I think. Okay, so which is why I said that trucking 1.0 and trucking 2.0, trucking 1.0 had headwinds of no digitization, no banking, cash transactions. Whereas Raaho has trucking 2.0 has the tailwinds of digitization, smartphone, banking, digital banking, TikToks of the world. Driver, started. I mean, why do you think he started buying a smartphone? Because of YouTube and WhatsApp calling,
Right.
and then you realize, oh, it's like you buy a smartphone initially for enhancing your lifestyle के लिए, then it becomes livelihood. Right? एक पंचर बंदे के लिए smartphone, mobile phone is a livelihood, right? He writes his number and then goes around. उसको पता है कॉल आएगा भाई, right? Also the key maker for that matter. He's roaming around with a small dabba saying, "Call me." Okay, and I think it's, that's Raho and the supply base that we have.
That 1 rupee which you send to the bank account would also help build trust, right? Just the fact that this company
it's a very interesting one. When we didn't have this digital and everything, it's just one of those anecdotes, right? So when I used to make the payment directly from my bank at middle of the day, in the middle of the night, let's say 1 o'clock, right? When I've got the LR and I know that, and it's a new supplier, for example, I used to,
what is this,
transfer 11
LR?
rupees. Lorry receipt. That's a proof that the vehicle has been loaded. Now with GST, there is the e-way bill also that has come, right? Which is good. I would just transfer money to somebody there's no loaded, right? So I would look at the LR. The LR would have the truck number saying this material has been loaded on this truck. And then I have to transfer the money to that truck owner. And if it's a first-time truck owner, and I have to check whether this truck owner's account number is right, and I'm not transferring to some random people. So I would transfer 11 rupees and I would call it Shagun in the message. So it became so famous that हाँ सर आपका Shagun आ गया है, right?
Nice.
And now with, of course, digitization, they call it a penny drop, right? And the penny drop 1 rupee, thanks to, of course, all the digitization, I am able to get the actual number. So what we do is that we work only with direct fleet owner on whose name RC is, the registration certificate, right? So that we don't want to work with a middleman. We want to work with the guy who owns the truck. In this business, the moment you bring a middleman and the middleman and the truck owner has a problem, you're gone. You are in a deep problem. So you try and avoid that. So that Shagun has now become a penny drop and things have become better.
Is the RC digitized? Like or does someone need to take a photo? Or how do you know whether it's a genuine RC or not?
There is enough APIs today that I can check if I put the vehicle number, my API is able to save the vehicle name from Vahan. It's an API.
Okay.
Right. So there are a lot that has happened in this country, which is why I said that, Raho would not have been without these tailwinds that are coming in. Like cash, simple thing. A broker, let me take a very simple thing on example. Why would a broker exist? The truck driver goes there, Chennai mein gaadi unload hui. When the vehicle gets loaded, the broker would give some cash to the driver so that he can put the fuel. And fuel station was the ATM in India, right? The trucker would have a tie-up with the fuel station, and the fuel station would give the cash to the truck driver, like a ATM.
Okay.
Right? So that he can fill fuel or he can have the, so the truck owner would never give the full money to the truck driver, scared that he would run away with the money. So every 400, 500 kilometers, he would give money to fill the fuel and for his, bata, they call it, or daily expense of food and everything. Okay? It was cash. You see now what has happened. Now the truck driver is also using digital. He doesn't need. Where is the cash now? Fuel के लिए cash जरूरत नहीं है. Toll payment don't need cash. Truck, let's say even for food, the guy is using digital payment now. Where is the cash? Earlier, a truck driver would hide so much cash, be scared. He would tell me कि नहीं साहब, 50,000 रुपया ट्रक में लेकर नहीं जा सकते, right? 5,000 रुपया मिलेगा मुझे, वहां पे पहुंचूंगा तो वो पंचर शॉप पे मिलेगा या वो पेट्रोल पंप में मुझे 10,000 रुपये देंगे, right?
Okay.
It's gone. So very, very lucky. As they call it most of the times, right? Timing is so important in a startup. In Hoppr and this, right? You see, there's a timing benefit that we've got, and I think there is a timing. Of course, we had to, lived off wait for the right time. You build for the future, right? The learning from Hoppr and Raho is that in Raho you have to, we said, listen, I think let's take it for granted that it will become smartphone. The trucker will have a smartphone. People used to say, do you think a driver will use a smartphone? I see a world where the truck driver will use a smartphone. I see a world where things will get digital. I see a better world. And I'll build for the better world. I mean, you cannot, of course, predict COVID, but I'll build for the better world. And I felt that Zomato built that in us.
Yes.
He built for a better. He actually said, yeah, I will discount it, right? I think, and I think that's, maybe we are in the right time. I always say that it cannot be. Even today, let me tell you, the digital market freight booking is less than 1%. Imagine.
So 99% is still with the traditional broker through the
Still traditional, old way of working. It's a long way to go.
Why are you struggling with demand? You said you have more supply than demand today. Why are you struggling with demand when, 99% of the market? Do you need to spend money to acquire more demand, or what is?
No, I think the key question is that our supply is growing faster than from the demand, because we are, the transporters are building a demand for us, right? Our supply is growing faster than our demand because the demand is not fully digital yet, right? Whereas the supply is fully digital. You can't stop a trucker to download an app and say, I want a load. So that's our curve is like this. Whereas you still have to be very careful when you onboard a transporter because you're going to get. You have to be very careful that he's a transporter that will pay you on time. He's somebody who can reliable. His orders are reliable, so on and so forth, right? So I think it's not that there is a problem. It's an opportunity that I feel that, the tipping point for us where you're not doing anything, you're getting supplies happening for Raho. Whereas we need to crack the demand point. But I think we're growing. I'm sure we'll solve that faster.
But I would assume that demand lies with businesses. So businesses are like a lot more digital savvy, willing to go to a website and in order to provide better service to their clients. I didn't understand why demand is not growing as fast as supply. Like why?
See, a lot of our transporters, right? They're still old economy companies. There is still that one person who's there at most transporters of ours are like an SME, like a medium enterprise, right?
Okay.
Most of them, they still have that, they call it a traffic guy who's not necessarily very digital savvy. In this business, what happened that, when there is a load, they forward it to, let's say, few brokers, we are one of them. Okay. And
they would like send it through a WhatsApp message or something like that.
Yeah. It's that's why I said we have 100% digitized supply, but it's not been very easy for us. Enterprises take their time because they rewire the way the organization is. Some of the big companies that I talked to you about are 50-year-old companies. There is a certain way that they work, and so they are coming to.
Still need
good news is that the new gen.
You need an account executive who will receive the requirement and tell the company that yes sir, this will be done.
Yes,
you can't tell them, hey, we call Raho mein login karke book kar lo.
We have a shipper app. But we are
some do, but many don't.
Slow to it. No, they use the shipper app. as soon as the vehicle gets confirmed, because the documentation, everything is on the app, the tracking is on the app. But the
Okay.
process of getting a truck, they feel when I can make a call or we can make a WhatsApp, I get it in few minutes. Why will I do it? And I think it's a slow change. Also, it's a matter of time focus also, right? So we, as I said, we focus on digitizing supply. I'm sure in the next 1-2 years, we'll make that compulsory. So that I think the new gen that's coming in these old economy companies are also thinking transparency. They are also seeing, hey, listen, I don't have a view of what's going on. Why a particular vendor is selected vis-a-vis Raho. And I think the moment a new generation is asking that question, the only answer would be, and most of them are wanting, is digitization. When they digitize, they will say, listen, we'll work only with digital companies, we'll work with companies whom we have full clarity or reliability. So I think it's, as I say that, the future is definitely digital. And thankfully, we are at the helm of it, or, trying to, steer towards it. But
What
100%
does
this market will go digital.
what does your product look like? So I've got a few hints. For example, you said that document uploading happens on the product and all documents reside there. And also you said tracking happens on the product. Like the driver downloads your app and therefore you are able to give real-time location updates. Like just talk me through the product part of it, like your digital
So
product.
the way it is, let's start with, let's say a customer says, I want a truck, right? He says it on a WhatsApp or a call. Somebody from internal system quickly puts it on the internal app that pushes a notification to all the relevant truckers. Truckers have already given us their, inventory, as they call it. They have checked in to say that my truck is waiting in Chennai. I have a multi-axle truck. So if there's a multi-axle truck waiting in Chennai for Delhi, and we have a load that matching, which is the matchmaking, right? It informs him saying that, hey, there is a load exactly at this point. We also know where the truck is waiting. So we try and see if we can give him a load which is closer to where he's standing, right? Which is where his current unloading point is closer to the new loading point. And
how do you know where
exactly
the truck
where
is?
he wants to.
Like the exact.
Well, because the driver checks in to say that my truck is here. I'm waiting for a load.
Okay.
The driver checks in. The trucker also says his inventory and selects a Google pin saying, this, so he has all his vehicles are already in my system. He taps the vehicle number and says this vehicle is here in the Google pin. So the system automatically tries to push so that we are able to get a better rate. We are able to get a better rate because the trucker sees less cost. Usko lagta hai कि 10 kilometer दूर truck खड़ी है, right? So he gets it. He bids for it. Once he bids for it, then we have our rate. We give it to the customer.
Lowest bid wins, or are there other factors also?
No, actually, we get a bid. Sometimes what happens, a trucker would bid. Sometimes, we have a bound. We're not doing a reverse bidding. We don't make him go down, right? We get a bound saying, okay, quote between this price, right? We use this bid to be able to get his interest. And we also know that there is a truck. Then we go ahead and quote the price to a customer. There is a negotiation with the customer and the trucker, which is still on the phone. We tried to do it with the AI and quote the price. We actually push a new rate. Some truckers accept the rate, or some truckers would want to call immediately because they would like to understand loading point kahan pe hai, kitni loading hai. That is still a little bit of, see, we are dealing with really Bharat. Okay, it's not like, as I call it, that completely offline matching to automated matching, we are 75%. Right? It's still not fully Uberized. Then you don't have to do a call. So a customer then agrees the price. We are able to make that margin that we want. And within few minutes, we normally, we are able to give truck in a lot of instances in 10, 15 minutes. In the system, because the trucker vehicle details already there, he accepts a load. The documentation goes to a customer on the app. We share the driver number. Driver knows where the loading point is. Then somebody is tracking to make sure that the vehicle reaches the loading point. From there on, everything is fully digital. Customer is able to track his trucks. Trucker is able to take his payments. Mostly life is very, very good. 3-4% of the time, vehicle goes running late or goes into some wrong distance, wrong area, goes another route. Then we have to say, dude, why are you going by this route? Then you realize that he has his favorite petrol pump in that area or diesel pump. Or sometimes he says, मेरा घर का रास्ते पे है, मैं 2 घंटे रुक कर जाऊंगा. Everything happens. Right. And yeah, so I think a lot of
do you take the
supply side is
risk
digitized.
on your books? Like if there is And what is the risk here? If there is delay in delivery, is there any risk to that? What are the risks in this business? Help me understand.
So what happens is that, okay, one thing we don't really take super express delivery businesses, right? Which is 36 hours Mumbai or something. But yeah, we have a tag.
And those pay
let's
more.
say 80. Yeah, those pay more, but those charge also more because we don't own asset, right?
And you need
supplier also takes more.
a driver to drive 24 hours or have two drivers or something like that.
Double drivers, 24 hours. I realized that, that makes sense. Express business in India is, I think, 6-7% only.
Okay.
It's only these Mintras and maybe the e-commerce companies that really need super fast requirement, right? So we really don't cater to that market, Akshay, because as a marketplace, it's very difficult for us to control this. Our service levels just go down dramatically and put more stress in the business.
Okay.
But we do have some suppliers who do only express, and then we try and match them with express loads. So that's easier. So you tag it, saying this truck load will go only to that particular supplier, but that business is very small for us. Our on-time rate is close to 90%. That means trucks reach on time. When they don't reach on time, sometimes there is a penalty, but we have a penalty for it supply side also. So we take care of that. In terms of, you asked the question of risk, there is a little bit of a liability up to a certain amount of thousands only that we take responsibility. If something
damage?
really big happens.
Okay.
Yeah, for damage, there is, let's say, up to 10,000 rupees. We also have a supplier balance payment that we also have to pay because we pay 90%, 10% still exists, right? But when there is, let's say, large problem, gaadi gayab, which is rare, then I think we are responsible to give an FIR to the customer. And then the insurance process kicks off from that. Because for the kind of margin that exists in this business, we definitely cannot take responsibility of the 2 crore ka maal. Right? I don't think the customer...
Insurance is...
by the way, all loads are insurance. 100%. Every customer, the end customer takes insurance. In this case, let's say Coca-Cola takes insurance, not transporter also.
Okay, and this is a standard practice in this industry. You don't need to...
Standard practice, don't have to worry.
Offering. Okay, understood.
Not right now. You do have to bundle when we start growing massively on the SME side. SME who needs, let's say, 5 FTL trucks, then you would say, yaar, mujhe transportation ke saath insurance hai. At that point of time, we will try and solve the problem.
Okay.
That is not a very complicated. It's quite there already.
Okay.
Again, I told you a lot of other businesses have also been built.
And are you currently are you still earning money, or are you profitable? Or
a magical question everybody wants to ask these days. No, we're almost there. Let me call it that way. We're almost there. I'm super excited that maybe in the next few months we will turn completely profitable. I'm talking about at the not EBITDA level but PBT level, fully profitable. We're almost there. That's a big focus for Raho. That there is
maybe at a 200
need and urgency.
You'll be
I think around that number we will be profitable completely till the bottom line, and I think that's the focus of Raho, to build a profitable business. After that, when the product is built, I mean, you should be able to continue growing this business, not necessarily with a lot of capital. I don't see that. Now the question is, would we go end customer? I mean, why would I go if I continue to grow, right? My transporters and 3PL companies are happy to work with me and grow. I don't see any reason why we need to go to end customer, large enterprise for sure. Would we do small and medium? Maybe yes, because that guy is anyway going to a broker. That anybody who goes to a broker is my target audience as a customer, right? Anybody who goes to a transporter is not my audience, because transporter is my customer right now. But we have been always focused on saying, listen, let's focus on the load business because that's the largest problem, right? So for a trucker, the product you give is either going to grow to increase his revenue or reduce his cost. We have focused on increasing his revenue. Things that can grow his revenue. Things that can make him do more kilometers, right? Things that can get more top line, sweat his asset more so that he can pay his EMI well.
Where do you see that potential of that business?
I think from a top line perspective, not very, but from a margin perspective, maybe bigger. The margin pool might be bigger of those products.
Okay.
right? The margin percentage that you can make might be bigger, but you have to understand the core reason why it comes there to you is, in my opinion, is the largest problem called loads.
Right.
You can't suddenly launch saying ये app launch करो और आपको tire system में मिलेंगे. It's very difficult because he buys tire like what? He changes once a year the truck tires, right?
Mm.
But he's doing continuous business, and we also know so much of data about him that कहाँ से कितने टायर चल रहे हैं, कब. We know his insurance date, by the way. We have the documents of when the vehicle has to get insured.
In your
So
KYC, you
we're going to
collect
try
all that.
something soon. But as I said, one of my learning is to stay focused. We've stayed focused on that right now. And when I say we'll turn profitable without any of these ends. We'll turn profitable only on our loads business.
Tell me something. Why aren't you? Why don't you have that ambition कि इसको 1,000 crore top line करना in the next 2 years or next 3 years? Because आपका PMF तो हो गया ना अब. Now
मैंने कहाँ बोला मेरे पास ambition नहीं है.
मतलब you are happy with growing without raising money, with only working with transporters. If you had that 1,000 crore ambition, you would probably want to figure out, okay, can I directly go to the Cokes of the world? And so that's why I'm asking this. Or am I wrong in my understanding that there's no point going to the Cokes of the world? The transporters are a better customer segment. Let's just go deeper with them. And
at the moment, we believe that we are adding a lot of value, and we are, we have a long way to go. Sometimes it's also timing of the business. Do I see 1,000 crores a month? Do I see 100 crores a month? I think in the next 3 years, maybe I see 100, 2 years, 3 years. That's our plan to do 100 crores a month, right?
with external capital or without needing any more capital? Organically, you will reach this.
Yeah, we are going to raise some capital. We have to raise some capital for sure to be able to pilot or do some new things, right? To grow network. We are present only in 17 cities. We should be present in 50 cities.
Okay.
Grow network, geography network. And from day one, those cities don't give you profit, right? Grow ancillary products. Maybe, try your hand in,
why would
we get this
new city
digitization?
not give you profit? Well, you are pure asset light.
It gives, but it takes some time. Sometimes the new city has a new segment of supply base, right? For example, today we do only container trucks. We don't do open trucks at all.
Okay.
Right? Let's say you are suddenly opening a city in Guwahati. Now, the truckers who roam around Guwahati are not there in my network, maybe, because if I have spent a lot of time in building Delhi, Chennai, South, North, I may not have enough truckers who run in Guwahati. So it takes some time for me to build the supply base, of course, profitability. The cost is people cost. And then, of course, I think technology is a continuous cost that you have to start thinking. Abhi tak to humne Amazon ko paise nahi diye lagta hai. Free coupon chal rahe hain, right?
Sure,
startup benefits. But I think you need some capital. Also, you have to try some projects, right? You have to try some new things, the insurance, the truck. It's not that from day one you're going to. You need money to iterate. Also, don't forget, in today's time, your first priority will be to stay alive. And you would have enough money in the bank. I think we are an IPO company. We will do an IPO in the next couple of years. So we'll raise one round for sure. 1, 2 rounds maybe. We'll raise capital, get in some great people to help us in the journey. Raising capital is not just about money, right? It's about getting in people who can make the company better.
Right.
Get you ready for a bigger thing. Ambition, yes, but one of the things I've realized that if you want to profitably keep growing, which is the only path we have taken, okay, it takes its time. It's not business is not a business which can double every month. It's slow and steady building brand. I think most businesses to me take 10 to 15 years. Unlike what has happened in the last few years where some businesses just, some went down in the same speed, right? Maybe this is not that business. Maybe we are not that team. We need to also realize that what we love. As a company, I love now building a good business. I talk profit, I talk transaction level profit, I talk overall profit. I say, listen, this cost is not required. We talk productivity, right? Because this is the business. This is what I'm going to be doing for the next maybe 20 years. So what's the hurry? Karte.
Right.
As long as you're growing profitable.
What's your headcount today?
135.
And how many of these are people who do the calls to customers, to truckers, to like
Not
the
many, not many. The matching people organization is 30 people, 25, 30
Okay.
people.
Okay.
A lot of others are collection, POD, billing,
What is POD?
technology, proof of delivery. We have to collect the proof of
Okay.
delivery, right?
Okay.
From the market. So those
Okay.
guys and engineering, HR, finance,
And
allied
collection.
functions, customer support, partner help desk is a very big support. You know, our suppliers still everything they do on the app, they do a voice message on the app when they have a problem. That's another beautiful feature that we see. We're
Wow.
hoping to open source it. That on the complaints, right? What we realize that a supplier can't type. Right?
True.
So he has a
True.
voice message saying, "भाई जी ये मेरा balance थोड़ा जल्दी करा दीजिए ना." That's it.
Very nice. Very nice.
Right? And we love it. 80% of the people just send a voice message.
Yeah, that shows empathy towards customer, right? When you build product.
Yeah,
which
and we
is
were
like-
so excited with this product. We want to open source it also. We have a full layer around it that's built on ticketing system on this one.
What do you
and
mean?
in his own
You want to
language.
open source it? Like you have some technology which converts the voice to text.
Yeah.
and-
We have built something. We have built something which is not only this. So we could open it. We can give it to ticketing system companies, right? Where we could open. A lot of people would love this product. Like this, only my co-founder technology was telling me that a lot of people will actually benefit from something. We said, okay, we should try and see how can it benefit. So we have a lot of people in partner help desk and so on and so forth. So I think, we're keeping a count. We have order in this 135, a good 15, 18 are interns who are working with us for, let's say, 3 months or 6 months. But they are part of head count. Part of they're not, on roll is 1 in 10.
Okay, amazing. So let me wrap up by asking you, what advice would you like to share with young founders? You're like the second time founder now, and a lot more conscious about making the right choices and so on. So what advice would you like to give to first time founders?
Okay, advice and all. I think, okay, let me start this. It's a long journey. I think all founders should realize that start with a purpose. It helps to have a purpose. Entrepreneurship is a lot of sacrifices. I mean, you hardly give time to your family. I feel, it's a journey that you would sacrifice a lot of time for your family. Every day you're giving up something, a lot financially. Actually, I remember this. Jensen Huang of NVIDIA said this, that I was successful till I became an entrepreneur. Okay, and but the other way to look at it is that I started. In my case, I feel that I totally agree that I was successful till I started up. But I think I managed to have a true purpose only after that. Okay, and so if you want to make a great impact, startups are great, but financially it doesn't make sense on a spreadsheet. It will never make sense. It's a long journey. You should give at least 15 years for it. There could be one odd case, of 2 years, 3 years, 5 years exits, right? But it's a long journey, a lot of sacrifice. Undervalued virtue, in my opinion, is perseverance and resilience. Many days you have where you're vulnerable and you say this thing, "Oh my God, am I doing the right thing?" The doubt keeps coming back, and then every day in the morning you get up and you get obsessed, and that obsession drives you. Okay, I think one of my friend said this, that the highs are really high, but the lows are really deep, and the highs don't make up for it. And that's true for anybody who's starting up. But India, the next few years of India. So if you really want to build, this is a great time, great country, go for it. But remember the purpose. Don't just do this for money. Other advice I would give, have co-founders with you. It just is going to help you a lot. It's good to have some experience before you start up. I think that from raising capital, I've said this in the whole call, that don't raise too early, be careful, wait for the product market fit. Don't get carried away by these announcements of amount of money capital raised. Eventually, it's a business. You have to make money. Capital that you raise has to be given back. Nothing comes free, right? I also want to say, because some people come to me, not all businesses are VC funded businesses. Some businesses are great businesses, don't have to be a VC funded businesses. So do that. Another one I can give you is that be careful when you raise capital. Raising capital is just it's not just about valuation, or it's just not about um, the amount you are raising. There's a lot that is there in the shareholder agreement. Read it well. For first-time entrepreneurs, it's extremely important to take care of it. Take care of your health. It's a long, long journey. If you're not healthy, it's not going to happen. The positives are many. You do this, after some point of time, you realize that, hey, the biggest joy you would get is that those 100 lives, the 100 people that work with you, their lives revolve around what you started. So, that's a big, big happiness. Comes with it is responsibility, like a father, right? There is a responsibility for your child. But this is a great time. There is no better time. There is no better country than India. There is no better time than now. I mean, like there was a trucking 1.0, there's trucking 2.0, maybe there is a trucking 3.0 with all the tailwinds that exist. So go ahead, have a great life. Go start up, man. We need entrepreneurs all around us,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah, that's it.